in my boxing gloves, down by the dog track, and send my love to whoever picked up the contract. You can always rewind the tape and record over the bad bits, but that's madness, man. The rough makes the smooth.
You look like you wanna rewind back to yesterday, to yesterday.
Hello, Bruce.
Hello.
How you doing, sir?
How are you? Yeah, I'm good, mate. How are you?
I'm great, man. Thanks very much for speaking to me. I really appreciate it. I know you must be really busy right now with the album coming out tomorrow, no?
So busy, mate. Look where
Chilling,
I
mate.
am.
Where are you, man?
Gran Canaria.
All right, so you're on holiday for the release.
Yeah. It's a little bit of a rogue shout, but it's my girlfriend's little sister's birthday, and we come out to surprise her. And I was like, boys, I'm sorry, I'm going to be away. Can't believe it. But I'm coming back tomorrow, so I'm going to
you're
be
back
there. Yeah. Last
Brilliant.
day.
I mean, but you must be so. I mean, you're obviously very chill. I was going to say you must be quite nervous and excited about tomorrow, but you look very chill at the moment.
All right, mate. We'll be fine.
So I just been listening to. Sorry.
Whereabouts are you?
Well, I'm originally from Manchester, but I'm living in Bilbao in the north of Spain. I've been here for like the last 20 years or so. Yeah, so I can't complain either. Yeah.
Oh, you're doing all right too.
So listen, I just literally been listening to the album again now. It's really great. It's so different to kind of anything that I've listened to of late, which is probably
Yeah.
I imagine kind of something that you kind of wanted to go for. No.
Yeah, definitely. We definitely wanted to make sure that it told the right story for us, but also gave people a kind of there's a bit of a wide spectrum with our sound, so we wanted to be able to kind of show people that without it being old. And I feel like the sort of narrative of the story of the album kind of helps us with that. So yeah, I'm really hoping people dig it, man.
Mhm. I mean, it's a very mixed bag, and I don't mean that in a bad sense. I mean, it's a mixed bag in that, and every song is really kind of very different, a kind of different ambience, a different kind of sound. Because it is kind of a concept album. Because people who haven't heard of you and they're watching this and they've never heard of you, kind of what were you going for with this kind of narrative and this concept that you wanted to go for with this album? Because it's kind of set on 7 different days, but kind of telling the story of a decade, right?
Just wanted to tell people the story, really. Had like a lot of things that I wanted to cram in, and I wanted to work out a way to be able to do that, and also it still be palatable for people that are like, in this day and age, even long form's got to be short form enough that people will actually pay attention.
Yeah.
And I thought giving that kind of narrative to kind of keep people in, and just like giving it a little bit of a different flavor for people, because it's so easy to just fling songs out and try and throwing stuff at the wall and see what sticks at the moment with how everything is going, algorithms and all that. Like, I wanted to make sure that we made something that we were proud of and that was actually an album, and having that kind of narrative element. I've always been really interested in artists that tell stories, and I really wanted to do one of those ourselves, because you never know if it's going to be the last thing you do. If it's the first thing you do, right? And I thought, you know what, we've got a chance to do something that we really, really want to do. No one's telling us what to do, so why don't we just make this, And thankfully Simon was on board, so yeah, we just went for it.
No, yeah, you did. I mean, like I said, it's very different. Every song of every day of the week is about a really different mood. So because it was this kind of concept album, like you said, that there's you've got to kind of beat the algorithm, but at the same time, other than the last song, you actually say that it's better to kind of keep what you've taped on tape rather than kind of reworking until you kind of beat the algorithm almost. No, so I'm quite curious how you came up with each song, and were there any songs that kind of completely refused to fit the story and you had to kind of rework either the song or the whole narrative of the album?
Nah, I would say I wrote this time in the next year will be Millionaires. I wrote that 2021.
Right.
I've had that for years. I've always liked the idea of that, just that whole phrase, and obviously the Only Fools and Horses thing, and it means a lot to me that. So I always had this idea, right? This will be the album. This will be what we make, whatever we, you know. I didn't have the songs at the time. I had the vision of that being an album. I didn't know it was going to be a narrative thing. And then it sort of came about. We were having a load of conversations with people because we had one song when Full Circle came out. It it meant that people were on our phone basically calling us up, labels and A&Rs and whatever, all of a sudden calling up, what's next? What's next? What's next?
Yeah.
And at this point in time, we didn't have any big plan. We were just, we were both full-time working, trying to put out the odd single every so often, blah, blah, blah. And we sort of were having a few chats, meetings with people, and we didn't have something to tell them. We were like, okay. So I took a few days off work, literally just sat and thought about it. And you never really do that, never really sit and just think about what you're actually doing. You don't have time. When it sort of came to it, I was like, I do have this kind of idea about this time next year with Millionaires. And I was just scouring through all my iTunes. I make these sort of fake albums on iTunes where I'll make like the artwork, put a load of songs in that I think work, whatever. So what can I do for this? Blah, 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 blah. And I basically had most of the songs already. And I started to form it. And I was like, I wonder if I could, make this into something cohesive. And I basically wrote a script for it.
So you didn't actually have that. Did you have any of those songs actually down recorded, or was it just kind of like titles and ideas for songs that you wanted to?
I keep them demoed.
Right.
So to a decent level where we were like, these songs are for, they're all there. The songs are there, they're just not exactly what they're going to be, like production wise and whatever. So I had that and I started forming that, and then I ended up writing this script and putting it all together. And I kind of then, I don't know, I think I must have been listening to Craig David or something, and I thought the 7 Days thing. And I was also listening to a lot of Plan B at the time,
Right.
and Strickland Banks album. And so it was all that kind of narrative, trying to work out how I can pace it all together. Then the 7 Days thing just stuck with me, and I was like, I really like how that comes around, especially with it being a week and Full Circle just come out, and I really wanted to have it come round full circle. Almost you could play the record on a loop, and having that 1 week, then you have another week and you sort of listen to it and you hear it slightly differently. And I just really liked that idea. And sort of managed to piece it together that way, really. But just sitting down and thinking,
Yeah. And that was kind of thanks to producers and people kind of trying to push you towards recording stuff and seeing what you were coming up with next.
More so like industry bods, like, I love what you're doing. We've been watching you for ages. You know what I mean? Have you? But like, actually, fair play to them, because them asking those questions, which are, a little bit annoying, to be honest. They're like, what's next? What's your 5-year plan? Whatever. And we're like, mate. But then me and Simon thought about it and we were like, what is our plan? Are we just going to keep randomly putting out singles? No, someone said, and I can't remember who it was, but someone said, do you want people to see you as musicians or hobbyists? Because at the moment, your output seems more like it's something on the side.
Oh, yeah.
Me and Simon have never been like that, and that stuck with me. And I thought, no, I'm not like that. I'm going to make sure that the next thing we put out is absolutely bullseye what we want to do, and no one could away from us. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I mean, at the same time, obviously, you said you didn't want to be seen as like a hobbyist, so you wanted to make sure that what you put out there was solid stuff. How do you write a line? Like I said before, no, that's kind of like you got to keep stuff as it is and keep it rough and don't record over stuff. How did you kind of use that philosophy, but at the same time go from being called a hobbyist to being someone who's doing this as a full-time musician?
I don't think it changed anything in terms of our outlook in how we do stuff. Like, I mean, we in terms of the music, me and Simon have always kind of had the same DIY approach to it because we've had to. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Even when we had a record deal for about a year, and they sort of put us in with a few producers and whatever, and we were like, nothing ever really worked. We were
Any
always a
specific
little,
reason for that?
we just always seemed to prefer when we were doing it together.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes you can get too many cooks. And we've worked with some great producers, we've worked with some producers on this.
Yeah,
When
I was
it
going
gelled,
to say, yeah, there's a few different people. Do you actually, is that, when did you choose producers for this? When did you kind of choose to bring other people in? Was there any specific reason why you thought this track needed so and so, or maybe a different instrumentalist or something?
to be honest, that whole record is pretty much us, apart from This Time Next Year with Millionaires, which is our friend who we've worked with for quite a few years, Joe Wanda, who's just a really good guy and a really talented producer. One of those producers that he's he can do anything. You know what I mean? If you give him some hard rock track, he can do it. But he can also make
Right.
like it's an electronic dancey type record. He made our song Snatch on our EP before, which is like a full-on dance record, basically.
Yeah.
He's just a jack of all trades type bloke, and he's lovely. We work really well with him, so it made sense for that to be on there.
Right.
But for the rest of the record, we just kind of wanted to work on it ourselves, and we have this other guy, Tom Waterman, who basically we met him through Joe, and he's a mastering guy, right?
Right.
He's also super, just got good taste, knows all that the science behind how to EQ the bass where it sounds good and what you know what I mean. And we don't have that, so he's been like integral to gluing the songs together, making it sound like an album rather
Yeah.
than seven songs that we've kind of tried to make together. And you've got to work out what things you can keep yourself and what things are better to give out to other people because they're better than you at them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just worked out that for this record, a lot of them we happen to have done ourselves, really.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And I want to talk a little about what kind of comes first, because it's a lot more storytelling than a typical kind of group's music. The lyrics are a lot a lot wordier. There's not so much it's not like an indie rock band, for example. So I'm quite curious, what comes first? Is it kind of the music that comes first to kind of get the scene, get the kind of the ambience, or is it the lyrics that kind of then inform the music to where that's going to come from?
It depends on the record, but I think in general, if I had to say, it's normally lyrics first.
Right.
Because I normally write lyrics almost more like a stream of consciousness. Like say Full Circle, I wrote the whole thing as just, inverted commas, a poem.
A poem,
You
yeah.
know, and then I kind of pieced the song together from there. But even that song, that had loads of versions. The first version that I did was much more sort of four to the floor, and it had this singy chorus on it. And then there was another version that was like almost like a rock version. And then we took it down the more garage route, and then we were like, oh, this feels right now. That's like because it let that the sample on the chorus did enough of the heavy lifting, and the little synth line was just me like whistling
Yeah.
with a load of effects on it. And we were like, this sounds cool, but just let the words breathe, let the message be told in the verses rather than trying to hammer too much in.
Yeah, that
And
really
it
comes
just
across now that you say that way. It really comes across in the whole album. It's understated, but it lets the vocals breathe, and it doesn't overdo the music that's not necessary. Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, I think that's always Simon's really good at that. Like he calls it trying to do the Beatles thing with any song, right? And he's like, just try and take as much off it as you can, and then it will be the best version of itself. Because it's so easy. I'm terrible for it, just chucking everything at it. But you kind of need to do that to then be able to make the song and then take it away.
Uh,
Yeah, that's the good thing with having two brains on the same project. We both kind of bring different things.
yeah. Because he's originally, is it from Lithuania that he's from originally?
Wayne, yeah, moved there when he was 18.
Uh-huh.
So he's basically
How did you kind of cross paths and form the group? I think he came over in London and he kind of really soaked up London when he came over first of all, now before he met you, yeah?
Yeah, big time, big time. He was like he come over for uni and got scouted as a model really early, so he was like living it up quite a bit,
Right.
London life. And also Simon back in the day, he still is quite like this, but he was big time like mod haircut, Black Sabbath t-shirt, leather jacket, like a rocker.
Yeah.
So we met through a friend of mine because them two worked in Top Man together, and we formed this punk band together. Like early doors when I was maybe like 22 or something. Never done anything like that before. But he was like, "Oh, I know this cool guy, he plays guitar, whatever." Um, but we met in the pub, and I was like full on track suited up. He turns up on his like cool bike with his leather jacket and all that. Um, and we were totally different influences, totally different views on what music we'd want to make, but we just got on really well. And we also were just keen to have, you know, do something creative and do something exciting. That time, obviously, we were very young. So we were working out, we both listened to a lot of sort of Red Hot Chili Peppers at that time.
All right.
Really came together on that particular band. We were like, yeah, we see it. So we started basically ripping off Chili Peppers records
Chili
for
Pepper
about a year,
stuff. Yeah.
trying to do that. But we hadn't really written anything. So
Yeah.
it was just like cutting our teeth doing that. And then when it comes to Good Health, Good Wealth, it was from lockdown, really. Because we had then a band, but then we realized we were doing the bulk of the writing
Right.
and often having to fit songs into a bracket that was a four-piece band when actually I came from more of like a hip hop background with like
Yeah.
samples and chopping up stuff and whatever. And I was sending him stuff with a bit more of that incorporated, but still doing our thing. It was like, this is quite cool. This feels different
Yeah.
rather than, you know, ripping off other things. We were trying to, it's still obviously there's a lot of influence from everywhere, but it felt fresh and it felt new and exciting for us. So then we sort of just started barreling down that way instead. And yeah, it's been really, really great since. So I'm very grateful for the weird global pandemic making us do that.
That's really the case for a lot of people, yeah. But no, I mean, it's really good that you both got together and kind of these two different kind of influences merged together because it really is something different and really special because of that. I'm quite curious when you play live, for example, what kind of crowds do you get? Is it kind of a mix of the indie scene and the hip hop scene as well? Kind of.
Yeah, it's a mixed bag. I mean, we haven't done loads of shows, bar like, our London shows. I've only played one headline this year in London. Everything else has been festivals, which festivals is a lot younger crowd, obviously.
Yeah.
And our last London show was our first show when we properly were like, there's fans here. There's people that we don't know here. Do you know what I mean? And we were
Yeah, yeah.
like, this is exciting. So to be honest, can't tell you exactly what our crowds are because we haven't gone on our tour yet. But
Yeah.
it's definitely a mixed bag. I feel like, especially with a song like Beautiful Boy, that has attracted such a different crowd to say Full Circle.
Sure.
Full Circle gets you more younger, dance streets fans,
Yeah.
that type of world was Beautiful Boy. We just went on tour with Big Special in Europe, and their crowd is a bit of an older crowd. And we noticed that Beautiful Boy went down really, really well with their crowds, and in Europe as well, in
Yeah.
Germany. And it's weird that people still resonated with it afterwards, come up and chat to you after, oh, I really love that Beautiful Boy song, blah, blah. So it also depends on the song. But yeah, we're excited to see, to be honest, what we're gonna
Yeah, but you can, yeah, because I mean, like you wrote it. I mean, you got together in lockdown, and then kind of I imagine a lot of the songs that you've written you couldn't test them on live audiences. So I'm quite curious how you approach it, not being able to kind of test it on the live circuit.
Yeah, I mean, we do, you can always tell even in a room, like when me and Simon were going practice, you can tell when a song works or not. So we're kind of like, we're confident in what we do, and we have been doing shows for so many years. Like it's kind of our bread and butter now.
Yeah.
There was a time when we started Good Health, Good Wealth, and we didn't know if the duo thing was going to work. Because people are, what's the music? Where is it? Like if you haven't got a drummer, and
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
at the moment we don't have the money to be able to pay for one. It'd be great to have a full orchestra, wouldn't it? But we don't have one. So the songs hopefully do the talking. You know what I mean? Well, I do the talking, but the songs do and people seem to really buy in. It was really nice actually going on tour with Big Special because they are also a duo, and you see how much people love it still. Because if the songs are good enough, people will buy into it.
Of course, yeah. Even if it's just like a singer on their own with a backing band or whatever, it doesn't matter as long as the music's good.
Yeah,
Really
yeah,
doesn't matter. Yeah, I mean, there's loads of rappers and stuff. People, I can't remember who it was. I went to see the other day with my son, and he was just him with his microphone and like tracks in the
yeah,
background.
yeah, yeah,
They
yeah.
were loving it.
Hmm.
So yeah, speak a little bit more about your kind of your process and collaboration with Simon musically. Because I mean, you said that you bring the voice, but obviously, I imagine you talk a lot with him. There's a lot of toing and froing about kind of the styles of music that you want in there. How do you work with that? And is it easy to find a kind of a happy balance between the two different styles that you kind of mainly into?
Yeah, I think it's always a push and pull. And as I say, we're not two peas in a pod, as
Yeah,
like we're not the same. I think that does what do they say? Friction causes fire or whatever. It does make something
especially, yeah,
exciting.
yeah,
It's it's important that we do make sure that we keep butting heads and we keep trying to bring other things to the table because otherwise it will be too safe.
Mhm.
But I think after so many years of working together, we have a sort of flow and we have an idea of what our sound is properly now. You've got to
Yeah,
find it,
yeah,
um, especially in, when there is so much scope when you're in a duo, we've almost taken all the barriers away entirely
yeah.
to be able to do everyone. It's easy to, sometimes run away with things. Um, so it's good. We both kind of keep each other in check, but also keep each other inspired.
Uh-huh.
Um,
What kind of things do you typically butt heads about mainly?
I'm much more of a garage head than Simon.
Right.
Simon will be like, "Oh, bro, another garage beat, man." I'm like, "Yeah, but it's good, man. If it's good." And then once Full Circle came out, he got it. He was like, "Ah, okay." Obviously, it's a massively UK thing as well. So
Yeah.
it's like a culture thing that if you're not, he hasn't grown up with that. So he understands that now, and it's obviously an integral part of what we do. Um, but we always like to make sure that then the guitar is involved um, to keep it, good health, good wealth, as it were.
Uh,
There's a couple of songs coming which we're really excited about, which are kind of even more leaning into that garage, but with an indie twist to it, which I'm really excited about. That'll be, next year, this
yeah.
time next year.
Uh-huh. I mean, you mentioned there before that you kind of came up with this album because of people calling you hobbyists and that kind of thing. Now that you've got a fully fledged album coming out, like you said, you've got some new stuff in the works. How do you approach that now that you have kind of moved on from the hobbyists, being called a hobbyist, to now being called someone with a fully fledged album?
It's scary. Don't really know, really. We just got to keep the foot on the gas, I think. You've
Yeah,
got to keep momentum up. People are so quick to turn off to things as well
yeah.
that we want to make sure that we really keep people interested and keep ourselves interested.
Mhm.
Um, but I know that realistically, I've got so many songs there waiting to be done. It'd be silly for us to not just keep the output coming. So,
Uh,
got the idea for the next album up here, and
an
now I've
album
got.
already, yeah. That it's not you don't actually think about kind of singles, it's more of an album
I
thing,
mean,
yeah.
I've got an album brain. That's how I've always been. I
Yeah.
like to think of bodies of work, and that's how I like to listen to music as well. Really,
Yeah,
like
no. So unfortunately, it's not how people usually listen to it and how people release it. Not even bands and like rock bands and stuff. It's all release three, four, five singles, release an EP with kind of those songs and then maybe an extra song. And it's like, I can't
yeah,
stand that stuff actually. Yeah.
that's kind of why we've tried to do something different with this album in basically releasing the whole album of singles. So we were
Yeah.
like, well, you end up blooming putting all this time in, forming this thing. People don't listen to half the records on the album. So we basically forced people to listen to the whole album. And then they're going to be like, oh, we like all the songs, or oh, I really like this song. And,
Yeah.
it's, there's no
No,
rules.
no, yeah, but it was already prepared that way. You're in your case. I mean, there's a lot of bands. It's like they'll release songs that they've just come up with just to keep the ball
Yeah.
rolling now, to kind of hit the ground running and then come up with an album that's kind of hodgepodge together. No, not like this one.
Yeah, I really, really don't want to do that. I think artistically, we want to make sure that everything we make has integrity and has a reason behind it. Because it's so easy to not do that
Yeah.
nowadays. And you know, we we also do have like a few singles like on the side that we're like, a few collaborations with people and stuff that will help people sort of build more of an idea of the world we live in, and just want to try and keep building the world that good health, good wealth is. And that's a big thing with this album. It's like really trying to let people in to what we're actually about. Because it's so hard to like people will comment on our videos and be like, oh, tell me you've got a trust fund without telling me you've got a trust fund or whatever. And I'm like, mate, how can you get that from a 20-second TikTok video? Like, it just blows my mind. So a really big thing is building that world and building, like, just letting people into who we actually are, because I think the days of being a super mysterious in the shadows artist are probably unfortunately dead. As much as we'd all love to be,
Yeah.
they're well past us, aren't they? So
Well, I'm not sure because AI is taking over everything, and we can't. We don't know what to trust anymore either.
it's mental.
It's crazy, man. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you mentioned that TikTok. I know that you were kind of cringed a little bit about jumping onto TikTok, but you eventually did embrace it now. And
Mate, it's given us pretty much everything that we've got now has
yeah,
come from one or two videos popping off a bit on there. And it's all come from just a change of mindset in like our old manager told us about going on TikTok years ago. And we were like, why would we do that? Like, obviously, we're not going to go on TikTok. We're just going to put our songs out and people are going to love them. No one cares. You've got to realize that no one knows who you are or gives a shit about you.
yeah,
And you've got to make them very quickly now.
yeah.
Like, people have no attention span, like me included. I'm the worst. It's swiping,
Everyone's the
swiping.
same. Yeah,
We've all got the blooming thing now. So we just realized one day, I mean, our missus is sitting there and she told me she was like, why don't you just play your songs on there? And I'm like, oh, because it's cringe. I don't
yeah,
want to do it. Do it. But it was because we were trying to sort of mime along to them and like perform them for the camera. And it was always embarrassing. Whereas then when we just got the mic, set up how we would do a live show in a weird position, like we did one in front of a tool shop, and actually performing the song was totally different because
yeah,
you're just doing actually authentically what you do. So doing that, people can sniff out if it's fake or not. Um, so being able to do that has just meant it's taken a lot of like weight off our shoulders of what you do on social media. It's like, well, what we do on social media is what we do on stage. That's what we do. So easy. We just got to go and do it, film it every so often. And thankfully, people seem to know us a bit for that now. I was talking to my mate the other day, Danny from the Manor, and he was on the phone to his mate, who's like does flooring, and he was like, it's good, good. We're supporting us at 338. And he's like, who's that then? Who's that? And he's like, you told me about it, mate. And he's like, oh, are they those two geezers who do the videos in front of cool buildings? And I was like, yeah, that is us. Yeah. Maybe you don't know the name of us yet, but that is who we are. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, that is crazy though that people know the songs and like know you for something that you've done, but they just forget the name. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Funny. So just keeping on building up that brand, I suppose.
yeah, yeah. Brilliant. No, no, and the album kind of it also celebrates small victories. This album. I mean, it talks about. I mean, it talks about kind of having gone through a lot of the hard knocks that you've gone through, but also talks about small victories. So I'm quite curious what kind of small, seemingly insignificant wins from your life or from that decade that it kind of talks about are you most proud of that you think listeners will probably relate to the most or have related to the most that you've heard of?
Oh, that's a great question. Very hard question. What small victories will people relate to the most? I mean, even a small victory of doing something like, you know, God, that is such a big question. I don't know the answer.
I
I
don't
mean, you
know.
got any?
Maybe it's specifically musically related, maybe.
What did you say? Sorry, Howard.
Specifically musically related, maybe. Kind of when you, like you said that you got not you got spotted on TikTok for being those geezers geezers who play in front of toy shops.
I think proud moment would be playing Beautiful Boy and my mum and dad being in the crowd.
Right.
That was a proud moment, like a nice, poignant moment that I'll remember. And I think more so than any of like the things we've done this year, like we played Glastonbury, and that's fantastic.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Playing that for the first time and my dad being there is like that's really special. And I suppose that shows what's important. I think that's maybe what I'm trying to get at with everything of like the little things and the your your people is what's really important rather than look, we're still saying shoot for the stars this time next year with millionaires, but it doesn't mean that you have to be trying to be Elon Musk. You just have
Yeah.
to be after people that you love and
Uh-huh.
proud of yourself for doing things.
Yeah.
Look
I
in the
mean, you
mirror.
mentioned your parents and your dad there. No, I think your dad's was very influential in terms of kind of the more rock music that you were into. Is that right?
Yeah, definitely. He'd always play like, the Jam, the Clash, Thin Lizzy, Ian Jury got me into big time, which is a
Yeah,
huge,
there's a lot of Ian Jury kind of vibes going on there. Yeah, definitely.
yeah, definitely. I mean, my dad listened to everything. He called me Bruce after Bruce Springsteen,
Right.
which is, that's his number one. He's got a very eclectic music taste, which yeah, is definitely fed into how I've sort of listened to music and my mum as well. My mum loves her music, but she's more of like a soul dance music type world, and that's massive for me too. So they've definitely both influenced me massively in my. Also, it's important to me the fact that they've influenced me through being very normal people. They don't play the clarinet,
Yeah.
and they're not from that world at all. And I think I want that to be people to be made aware of that you can still do this music thing and not be from somewhere like that.
Yeah.
Because it's very hard to see the wood through the trees when you're trying to do something like this often. Because I didn't know I could write songs at all
How did you do? I
until
mean, like you sorry to interrupt you, but like you said there, your parents weren't musicians or anything like that. What kind of light bulb moment made you realize that you could write songs and you wanted to kind of write music and become a musician and not a hobbyist?
yeah. Um, the moment I realized I could write a song was when the producer, Fraser T. Smith, he did a talk at my university. And the university thing was sort of strange for me because no one had been to university, my family or anything. I didn't want to go at all, but school were like, do the UCAS, whatever. They need percentage for how many people go, whatever they want to do. And then I got in, I was like, oh, okay, cool. Basically, long story short, do this music engineering course, which I didn't even know anything about, and I didn't learn anything while I was there because I didn't go to. But Fraser did a talk at uni, and chatted to him after. I went because he'd worked with Plan B and Craig David,
Right.
two of my friends. So I'm chatting to him just loads about Plan B afterwards, while everyone's trying to give him their CDs. And I was just chatting to him about Craig David. And he was like, so do you make music as well? And I told him I was an actor.
Right.
And he was like, what are you doing here? I was like, oh, I do music as well, blah, blah, blah. And then we basically formed this really nice little friendship where I'd send him stuff and he'd sort of tell me what he thought about it. And he then said to me, he was like, you've got a real way how you kind of speak your turn of phrase. He was like, have you ever written anything? And I was like, nah, never, no. He was like, why don't you try it? And I was like, well, how'd you do it? He was like, you just do it.
It's just
And
natural, yeah.
I was like, oh, I thought you kind of had to learn or read a book or something on it.
Yeah.
You were just telling me you could just do it. Then I just wrote a song on the train, sent it, I recorded it at home, like on my webcam, sent it to him, and he was like, this is fucking brilliant. So we then had, there's a longer story to it. He like wanted to sign me to this publishing thing. Didn't work because I didn't want to make really dance music at the time, but we've always kept in touch. And I do owe him big time for just giving me that little
Little push
sort
now,
of
yeah.
just little, pearl of wisdom at that time that you don't know, do you? No.
Yeah.
No. Probably that, I would say. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Good
That's
times.
mad. Yeah, it's crazy. Brilliant. Also, I mean, I talked there about it being very much kind of about there's the hard knocks and then there's some small victories. It touches on hedonism, self-destruction, and recovery, those kind of things.
Mhm.
This kind of music always kind of begs, or it kind of asks the singer or the whoever's writing the lyrics to kind of get stuff off the chest. I know you don't like to get too political, but it's easy for you to get things off your chest and know that it's going to go out there. And a lot of people, because like you said before, like a lot of people on TikTok, just with 10, 20 seconds, they pick up on things straight away. So does it feel good or is it kind of stressful to kind of write it down and get it off your chest and know that it's going to go out there and people are going to pick up on things either in a
Feels
good
very
way or a negative way straight away?
it's integral to me. Like I have to do it. I have to do it because it's very easy to I'd just bottle everything up otherwise. And
Yeah.
I think the writing of the songs is cliche, but it is a bit like therapy. It's getting stuff out there. And it's also I find it I find it good for like again, something like Beautiful Boy, that's kind of a way of me saying thank you without saying it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like I find it much harder to go up to my dad and give him a hug and say thank you. But I'll do that and that then does it for me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's very important. I think it's important for everyone. I think whether you're journaling or whether whether you're doing music, whether you're writing a script, whether you're just writing rubbish down, whatever, getting stuff out is so important. You don't need to put it anywhere. Put it in the bin,
Yeah.
but out rather than keeping it all in is very important, I think. Yeah.
Really important, definitely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Listen, I don't want to keep you any longer because you're having a chill on the balcony there. So just to finish off then, because you've got the album coming out tomorrow. Um, but at the same time, I don't know if this is true, but I was reading and I think you've got like a special vinyl version that's got some extra stuff on there. Is that true?
It is true. Yes, the vinyl has
What can you tell us about that? Is there some because there's only 7 days in a week, so what is that?
it's got some voice notes from me and my friends, which kind of help the narrative along for some people. So we were going to put them on Spotify, and I wanted to, but then when we all chatted together, we were like, look, one, it makes the vinyl a little bit more special for people, and we wanted to make sure that when people are going to spend their hard-earned coin, they're getting something extra.
Yeah.
But also, it people might just want to hear the music on Spotify, right? But for the people that really want to get the full experience of the album, the vinyl is the thing to get because it tells a little bit more of the story, lets you in on it a little bit more. And we do have more stuff coming for the record as well, which I won't delve into too much, but
Sure.
it might be might begin with the letter R and end with the letter X and rhyme with refix.
Rhyme with refix. Oh, okay.
Which is a better word that I could have rhymed with. Prefixes. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds promising. But I mean, and then also you're going on tour and it's completely sold out, man, which is amazing. Congratulations on that. I mean, you must be so excited about that. You've mentioned there's going to be some refixing going on or something. I don't know what that is.
Yeah,
what kind of will you be playing the songs pretty much as they are on the album live, or do you like to kind of play around with things and kind of get a bit inventive if you can when you go?
We do try and play around with some of them. Like You Don't Know Me has a total different vibe when we play it live, and we try and make them as exciting for people as possible on the live show. We got quite a few surprises up our sleeve for the tour, so yeah, we're very, very excited to get out there. Nice to have done a big special like European tour. It feels like we've really like wet the whistle with that. We're ready to go now. So it's very exciting. Yeah.
Wicked. Well, listen, Bruce, thanks so much for your time. I wish you the best of success with the release tomorrow. Have a safe flight back tomorrow as well. Have a great tour. And I mean, I'm in Spain at the moment, but hopefully, fingers crossed, I'm hoping to get down to London fairly soon. So fingers crossed I'll get to one of the, when I can't, those are sold out, but I'll get to a gig sometime soon.
You just let us know, mate. If you want to come to anything, we'll sort you out. So
that'd be great.
Okay.
I'll give you a shout. All right. Thanks very much for your time. Have a great time over there. Best of luck. All right. Take care of yourself. Cheers then. Bye now.
Bye.
This time next year will be many years.